kote, hakuna na hata nimetembea, nimetafuta kote kote, nimezunguka kote kote, hakuna na hata What a mighty God we serve. What a mighty God we serve. The angels bow before him, heaven and earth adore him. What a mighty God we, what a mighty, he's so mighty. What a mighty God we serve. Heaven and earth adore him. What a mighty God we, what a loving, he's so loving. What a loving God we serve. The angels bow before him, heaven and earth adore him. What a loving God we serve. What a caring we serve. What a caring God we serve. The angels bow before him, heaven and earth adore him. What a caring God we serve. This is the day, this is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it, and be glad in it. Oh, this is, yeah, we will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day, this is the day that the Lord has. I will enter his gate with thanksgiving in my heart. I will say this the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice for he has. Sing, I will enter his gate with thanksgiving in my heart. I will enter his courts with prayer. I will say this the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice for he has made. Sing, he has made me glad. I will rejoice for he has made glad. He has made me glad. He has made me glad. I will rejoice for who has the final say. Tell me who has the final say. Jehovah turns my life around. Yeah, he makes a way where there is no way. Jehovah has a final. Jehovah turns my life around. He makes a way where there is no way. Jehovah, Gai wakwa, Gai wakwa, yeah, hey. Gai wakwa we wa mai, Gai wakwa, Gai. Gai wakwa, Gai wakwa, Gai wakwa we. If I find you kenaga hede orago shonyaria we obey. Eni guanerera, eni nyanerera. Emoyo Jesu, emoyo, emoyo Jesu e muoyo nikyo ndiraina igeithia mundu geithio ciongi haya ireu tutiraga niki haya nire nake tondu niguo geithia mundu geithio ciongi tukwenda tafio geithio ciongi Mr. Patrick geithio ciongi muhimbirie himbiria wa muico haleluya
Wow. Kumbe watu wana talent hapa ni kuficha wanaziralia. Wow, thank you brother. We will have that. God bless you so much. Thank you for coming back once more again. We want to welcome the team from si mkuwe na uoga vile watu wanakuaga wakiona watu wa KRA. They are here as brothers to ensure that there is full compliance with things of God, with things of tax. Kwa hivyo to take this chance to tell them karibuni sana. I will invite their leader to come and take the leadership from there. He will tell us how we shall go on. All those that are out, please get in. This is an area that we all want to be attentive so that we ensure full compliance. Karibu.
Hello. Good morning. Imepitana ama bado? Yeah, thanks. I feel at home kiona Pcea kwa sababu iko mahali mtu alizaliwa, si ndio? Hata Zakayo alizaliwa mahali. Kama ulizaliwa Kiberegwe Parish, ukakuja ukaingia Zimmerman, ukakuja ukapatana na Reverend Mirengo hapa Mombasa. So I'm one of your members. I work for Kenya Revenue Authority and you have come here to interact together. With me I have a team from Nairobi and Mombasa. I want them to introduce themselves so that we can go through the small things in the act and the 8 teams, and we'll be together. Let's start our introduction there with the Mombasa team.
Bwana asifiwe. Bwana asifiwe. Naitwa Roda Wamboi Mureithi. Nimetoka Kirinyaga, mahali panaitwa Moya. Lakini kazi imenileta hapa Mombasa. Nafanya na Kenya Revenue Authority. I do tax education, you're creating awareness, which is what we have come to do here, and also stakeholder engagement. Thank you for having us. Please interact with us as much as you can. I think mkiangalia hapa mnaweza ona vile KRA imebadilika, si ndio? Nani ashaenda kwa ofisi ya KRA hapa? Anybody? Aya, sawa. So we are here to help you. Maswali yoyote, if you have any questions, any issues you have, make sure by the time we are leaving here umesaidika. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhoda. Yeah, Beth.
Good morning, all. My name is Beth Mwangangi. I'm from Nairobi office. Pcea as a taxpayer is in the large taxpayer office. Kwa hivyo mnalipa ushuru kweli kweli. Mko huko top. So I'm representing from the large taxpayer office. I'm the account manager for Pcea and Presbyterian Foundation. Like my colleague has said, we are here to educate you. We are here to answer your questions. We are here to assist you in matters of taxes. Si compliance ni lazima? Sawa, asanteni.
Thank you, Beth. Huyu ametoka Nairobi wakati mnasikia Sakayo ashuke, kwa hivyo ametoka Times Tower kashuka hapa Mombasa. Karibu.
Good morning. Bwana asifiwe. My name is Alex Monyui. I'm from Nairobi. E-Teams Operations Unit. Sisi ndio tuna deal na mnasikianga zile machines zilikuwa zinaambiwa za ETR. Si mnazijua? Unaenda kununua kitu unasema niepe ETR. So now we are revolving with technology as time goes. We are now on E-Teams, which is the electronic invoicing system. We are here to enlighten you. You ask many questions as possible. I'm also with my colleague, Lida. She's going to introduce herself. Sorry that she has stepped outside. Asanteni.
Thank you. Tukigojea Rida, yeah, we can just go. We are supposed to start at 10:30. Sijui kama mtatuongezea another 1 hour, but we will be as brief as possible na tuweze ku-interact. We are going to start with the Finance Bill 2023. Ambayo mmetupeleka kotini, tukatoka kotini, tukarudi. We just clarify some of the issues which have started to be effective. So yeah, we are projecting. It is already there. As we wait for our studio, let's continue. It's already there. So, hebu nipatie nini yangu hapa. Very well, studio. I think we are starting with finance being the stakeholders, Pcea. I just want to go, I will not go through the whole of the bill. It's a large document, but it is just for your own interest, whereby we expect you to ask as many questions as possible because we have your account manager all the way from Nairobi will be answering most of your concerns. Can go to the next slide, whereby we'll be having the introduction, the amendments and the related amendments, the Finance Act, and conclusion and the way forward. On this, the next we have the 2023 bill, which came into effect on 26th June 2023, and the following were the amendments, being the Income Tax Act, the Excise Duty Act, Tax Procedure Act, the Tax Appeal Tribunals, Miscellaneous Fees Levies, and the Kenya Revenue Authority Act, including the Employment Act, among others. Some of these dates have already been passed, whereby the first effective date was 1st July 2023, the 1st September, and 1st January, as we are going to see. We have some of the definition which changed, and in most cases, we are going to share with you this public document so that you can go through it. We have the amendments to taxation of employment. I understand majority of you are the accounts manager, or you account for your employees, whereby Pcea 1 is of importance. We have excluded amounts received by an employee as payment of traveling allowance. I don't know wale ambao mmetembea from all the way from Kivirewi, Kirinyaga, si ndio? Will you be taxed for being given these allowances? This has been excluded in the finance bill. We have the taxation of club and entrance fee subscription allowed against the employer income. We have also the alignment of dates and determining the market value of the share and the deferment. Also, we have introduced a taxation of repatriated income for non-resident with permanent establishment in Kenya at 15%, and we have also reduced their corporate income tax from 30% to 37.5%. We have also the withholding tax already paid on payments for non-resident. They shall not be refundable or available for deduction against income where an audit adjustment has been made. Also, we have the issue of turnover tax. I know this one, you'll be interacting with your people back huko kwa kanisa. For mama mboga na kadhalika, for turnover tax, we have the turnover tax at the threshold of 25 million, and the rate has been increased to 3%. We have also introduced tax on the income derived from transfer of exchange and digital tax services. Assets such as cryptocurrencies at the rate of 3%. Of importance also, we have the A-teams. That is why we have come with our team from Nairobi, so that they can give us an insight about the A-teams, whereby any expenditure or loss shall not be deductible if invoices or the transactions are not generated from A-teams. That is our main contention today. So we are going to discuss that in details, and you will be taken through the 18th. We have also the amendment on restrictions for earnings of interest, taxation, depreciation, and amortization, EDP, where only interest arising, amendments to interest and restrictions. I don't wish to go through this because some of these areas are so large, it might take us all the hours. Just go to the next slide, whereby we have the introduction and framework of qualifying intellectual properties of income, which is subject to the tax rate. I think this one, we are not going to go through it, but of importance is the medical, whereby we have the introduction of post-retirement medical fund relief, where resident individuals contributes to our post-retirement medical at 15%. I think our account manager will just highlight on some of these things as you do your pay as you earn returns. We have the sales promotion, marketing and advertising services for resident at 5%, and the digital contact. Let us go just to the next slide, whereby we have the institutional body, maybe which are exempt from tax, being the royalties and interest paid to non-resident person by a company undertaking the manufacture of human vaccine. I remember during COVID, there were companies that came up to assist us with the manufacturing. It was reduced to 10% of the CIT, being the corporate income tax. Don't know whether we are together. Just go to the next slide, which will guide you on the pay as you earn, whereby we have the industrial building, look at 10%, the investment, but of importance is the high-rated table, whereby this is what we are using currently in deducting our pay as you earn, whereby we have the first 288 at 10%, the next at 25%, at 30%. I think those who are in the payroll, they understand this. But what has been added is those persons earning 3.6 million, they are being deducted at 32.5, and over 9.6 at that 5%. If you divide that by 12, the 288, you can see the amount being, if you are less than 24,000 shillings, you don't qualify for pay as you earn. We have also the withholding tax of payment, the last line. To use of immovable properties has been reduced from 10% to 7.5%. Let's go to the next slide. That one highlighted in red, or we just start with the first one, whereby majority of us, we might be having side hustles, the vans, the truck, the prime movers, and the lorries. The tonnage has been increased, whereby we are supposed to pay the advance tax at 2,500 per ton or 5,000, whichever is higher. I, the commissioner, I'll just go for the whichever is higher. Kwa hivyo, your truck, your lorry, being 1 ton, you just pay the 5,000. But if it is a 15 ton, you pay an advance tax, you multiply by 2,500. We have the saloon, station wagons and minibuses, and coaches at 100 per passenger capacity per month, or 5,000, whichever is higher. Whoever is doing an Uber, the tax drivers and kadhalika. I was asked also to talk about the rental MRI income, whereby it has been reduced from 10% to 7.5. Effective date is 1st January 2024. Kwa hivyo ukiwa na nyumba yako ama you are doing some audit to our members ambao wanalipa the MRI, just tell them the MRI has reduced from the 10% to 7.5. I think we can just go to the next slide, which is important to us. whereby it's all about the VAT, being the removal of 16% on the LPG gas to zero rated. So that one was effected on 1st July 2023. Yeah, we have the clarification of place of supply of imported in digital services in Kenya. When supplied to both registered and unregistered persons, we have the compensation received by a registered person in the event of damaged stock. This is all about the VAT. I don't know whether you deal with the VAT. Do you deal with it? Najua wengine wana deal nazo, but for the sake of clarification, we will just go through the notes together. Just go to the next slide, whereby we have the exempt. In the following, or the aircraft and the parts, sorry. And also the local purchases of machinery, etc., and the taxable companies and also incorporated for purposes of undertaking other manufacturing activities, including refinery and those capital. These are just the wider areas of the Act, which I just want to brush it over. We just go to the next slide, whereby we have the list of the zero-rated supplies, being the exportation, or these are the list whereby it was included, being the liquefied, the petroleum, the supply. You just find it in the schedules of what had changed. We have the excise duties for the 2015. Just the next slide. I wish not to go through it because we have another person who is supposed to take us through the excise, but she has not arrived. And I asked the studio to put me through the amnesty in the TOT so that I can pave way to the A teams to demonstrate our new kid in town. Studio, just put me the TOT turnover tax, which will cover the amnesty. For us who have not applied your amnesty, I was asked to talk about it, whereby kama return zako hazijakuwa aligned na our account, kindly just take this advantage of the tax amnesty. Why? Because on 2024, 30th June, it will be the deadline. So just inquire about your account and you apply for the tax amnesty for all the years, including up to 2022 December. As you go home, you also advise your siblings and friends na watu wenyu wasikutane na hiyo kukosa apply for amnesty. Studio, you have the TOT? Turnover tax? Yeah, good. Yeah, just go to the next slide. Just bypass the disclaimer. You are notified that if there is any inconsistencies between the provision of the revenue laws and the information contained herein, the revenue laws shall prevail. We have the introduction of TOT, but of importance is, I'll just talk about the TOT and the tax amnesty. Just go to the next slide, whereby we know how we can start our businesses. You can act as a sole proprietor, partnership, or a company. Being an artificial person, partnership is for more than 2 or more persons. Sole proprietor is for you yourself. And your accounting period as a sole proprietor is from January to December. You register as a taxpayer. You file your return, you pay your tax as they fall due, and deal with the matters arising. We have the accounting for tax on businesses, income for tax purposes, arises where business is carried out in Kenya, but and outside Kenya. We have the annual tax regime and also the turnover tax. The next slide also talks about what is the turnover tax. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah, whereby the turnover tax is charged on gross sales of the business under Section 12C of the Income Tax Act. The tax is payable by a resident person whose gross turnover is more than 1 million, but less than 25 million. Yeah, from the A-teams, we are going to understand why everybody is supposed to be in A-teams, because you can not do business without generating your invoices. KRI just want you to be visible. The effective date of TOT was July 1st, 2023. We have the turnover tax, which is charged at 3%. It used to be 1%, but now it is at 3%, whereby expenses are not deductible, and it is a final tax. The due date for filing the paying and turnover tax is by 20th of the following month, whereby the turnover tax is now a monthly tax. The benefits is only to simplify the tax procedures, simplify tax computation. Next slide, please. Make returns filing easier, and it makes the simplification of record, whereby it reduces the cost of compliance. The books to maintain in the next slide says it's cash book, sales, receipt. And this one I'm going to draw to A-teams on how you'll be keeping your bank, the purchases, invoices, the receipts, etc., etc. Who is exempted in TOT are persons of income below 1M and above 25 million. The monthly rental income is not supposed to be in the TOT. You being a professional manager, you are not supposed to be in TOT, and any income subject to a final withholding tax. Those are the penalties, whereby TOT filing is 1,000 per month, effective 2020. The rate payment penalty is 5% of the tax due, and also the compounded 1% of the principal tax due. Let's just go to the amnesty so that I can end up there. Amnesty, please, the next slide. You understand it better. The Finance Bill Act 2023 introduced a tax amnesty of interest and penalties under Section 37A in the Tax Procedure Act 2015. So it deleted the Section 89 and the provision of Section 37. The amnesty is applicable to taxpayers do not have principal tax due before 31st December, or have a principal tax before that first, but clear the outstanding debt. So you have to clear your principal tax to qualify for the tax amnesty. The tax amnesty will be applicable on all interest and penalties on debts relating to the tax period on or before 31st December, including all assessments for period prior to 30th December 2022, raised later and concluded in objection cases. So take advantage of that. The next slide. Amnesty will be granted per period. Sorry, just go back to go. Amnesty will be granted per period as opposed to the per pin. Despite applying for amnesty where some principal tax remained outstanding in a period, it will not qualify. That is the underlining, it will not qualify. But remember, anything that you have accrued in 2023, it will be payable. So just note the date, don't confuse the date, and we are just there to correct revenue and even to correct the taxpayers' wages. That was the area I just wanted to cover so that I can give my colleague a chance to give their presentations, and we go to the questions whereby we'll be in a position to understand these concepts better. Thank you very much. I wish to welcome Alex.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I would like the presenter to at least present the one that is written items. Even as we wait for the presenter to actually put on the presentation, I would just like to ask, how many of you have heard the word items? Munaogopa kuinua mkono? Mbona mnainua hivi? Anyone who has heard about items or teams? So quite a number of you have heard about teams. So right now we are talking about items. So it's basically the same thing we are talking about. Both of these solutions actually talk about invoicing. So items is actually just talking about tax invoice management system. It is a system that is used to help our taxpayers to do invoicing. As they invoice their different kinds of clients, we require them to actually be using the system to generate invoices going forward. So that is basically what items is. So we are going to take you through the kind of solutions that we as KRA have come up with. We have even come up with a simplified solution going forward for our small traders, our small taxpayers, those who deliver their small produce, for them to actually be able to generate invoices. Because as Mr. Mushiri was actually doing the presentation, you saw when he was talking about the Income Tax Act, it talked about you will not be allowed to claim expenses if you do not have an ETIMS invoice going forward. So it is paramount for all our taxpayers, anybody who has a business income, to actually onboard to ETIMS, because with ETIMS you'll be able to actually generate your invoices, and from there those invoices are the ones that going forward we are going to consider them valid. So, like I said, what is ETIMS? ETIMS is it's an acronym that we have come up with that actually just talks about electronic tax invoice management system. That is the system that you're going to be using to generate your invoice. It has different types of solutions, so it actually depends on which type of obligation you've actually been registered on. So I'm sure in the course of today we will know whether you as Pcea, which obligation have you registered on? You have VAT, you have rental income, and of course you have those individuals who are doing businesses using their individual PINs. So it will be important for us to know if you have your own, if you're doing business as an individual, you are also required to actually be using ETIMS to generate invoices. You see, there are people out there who actually supply goods or even services to different clients. So these people are the ones we require them to actually be using ETIMS. So going forward, according to the Finance Act that Mushi has actually taken a brief session on it, it requires that anybody who has a business income to actually be onboarded to ETIMS, meaning you'll have to be generating your invoices using ETIMS. I'm still waiting for the slides to come up, but even as we wait, I just want to clarify. There's a clarification that I need to make that some time back, it was said that those who have a threshold of less than 5 million should not be onboarded should not be using ETIMS. My clarification is simple. Anybody who has a business income, whether you're doing TOT, whether you're doing rental income, whichever business you're doing in our jurisdiction, by jurisdiction I mean within Kenya, you're actually supposed to be onboarded ETIMS, and you're supposed to generate invoices. Those invoices are the ones you're going to actually be using when you're claiming your expenses, either at the end of the year, when you're filing your income tax return, or even monthly for those people who will be filing their rental income, or even for the people who are filing their TOT. Right now, TOT is filed on a monthly basis. So it is important for us to actually understand that. So like I said, this is a software system that will allow our taxpayers to generate invoices, and from there, those invoices are the ones going forward are going to be considered valid. I'm sure you've even seen the public notice that went out sometime last year concerning our VAT registered taxpayers, that we are going to have the auto-populated VAT return starting January. That return is actually available. So if your invoices have not even been transmitted through ETIMS, then the return will actually not go through because it is populated with those invoices. So this invoicing solution, at first, it was delivered only for VAT taxpayers, people who deal with value-added goods, and people who are registered for VAT. And that one started way back in 2021 is when they onboarded to TIMS and ETIMS. ETIMS started last year on 1st of February 2023. 2023 is when ETIMS started. And from then, we were still onboarding only VAT taxpayers. But come December, it is now mandatory for non-VAT taxpayers to onboard to ETIMS. When I'm talking about non-VAT taxpayers, I'm actually talking about anybody who's registered in another obligation other than VAT. These obligations are which ones? They are those who are registered for MRI, those who deal with rental income, those who are registered for TOT. turnover tax, and even those who are doing business with their personal pins, meaning you have income tax. So you will be actually declaring your business income at the end of the month, at the end of the year, using the invoices that you have generated through eTIMS. So this invoicing solution is what we as KRA has come up with to help our taxpayers. We are trying to make it simple for our taxpayers to be able to even do their filing going forward. So why eTIMS? The presenter has gone way ahead. Thank you. So why eTIMS? eTIMS is basically a free solution. We are not selling it. It is actually free. You go to our KRA website, download the software, if you're a person who is going to use the software, or you can even go to the eCitizen portal. Right now, if I ask how many people have logged into the eCitizen portal, for those who are applying for their ID or birth certificate or even passport, you have to go through your eCitizen portal. So this solution is free for all our taxpayers. They download it from our website for those who are going to download the software. There are people who will have to log into our web portal. We have an online portal under the KRA website, and we also have a web portal under the eCitizen portal. So we are making it simpler for our taxpayers going forward so that they will not have an excuse to say they do not have a solution to actually do their invoicing from as is required by law. So we're also trying to make it simpler when it comes to filing, because I talked about the auto-populated VAT return. With that return, it means every invoice that has actually been transmitted to KRA will be populated on that return. And at the end of the month, what we require our taxpayers to do is just to confirm. Right now, of course, because it's the beginning, we're going to have a little challenges to reconcile those invoices, because we have some taxpayers who did not transmit invoices. So in the beginning, of course, we'll have a little challenge, just like anything in the beginning has to have challenge. But going forward, the process of filing is going to be made simpler, because we will require our taxpayers to just confirm that these are the invoices I did my purchase from, these are the invoices that I made sales on, confirm and send. So even in the near future, we might, I'm sure sometime back when we started doing public participation for eTIMS, there was some uproar from some of our colleagues. When I talk about colleagues, I talk about our finance people saying, kazi yao itaisha. Kazi ya itaisha is just that you're making it simpler for them to do the return filing for our taxpayers, so that we do not have a back and forth between the authority and our taxpayers. So we're also making it flexible, because so many manual processes when it came to filing of returns. So that manual process is what, as KRA, we are trying to eliminate, and that is why we are going digital, to ensure that even as the digital era is coming in, I'm sure all of you have encountered our digital era of whereby technology has changed. People do things through Facebook, people do things through TikTok. So technology is evolving each and every day. So even as technology is evolving, we are trying to make it flexible for our taxpayers to go by the technologies that we have currently in the market. And also we are trying to build compliance. By building compliance is by ensuring when we are engaging with our taxpayers, we are able to have a point of reference. When we are having a one-on-one, when we're doing compliance check to our taxpayers, there is a point of reference whereby we can go and find this data concerning this taxpayer, so that we do not have to come back to you to ask you for your books of accounts, because we will be having these invoices that you have purchased from, we will be having these invoices that you have done sales on. So ours is just to ensure whatever you have declared, does it match what we have in our data, in our database. So we are trying to make compliance as easy as possible, and we're also trying to ease the burden of compliance for actually our taxpayers. And then there's the last benefit for eTIMS, which is easy stock control. For people who will be downloading the eTIMS client, that is a solution that we have. It has a stock management, meaning every time you buy goods from someone who's already on eTIMS, the same is registered in your account, so you do not have to go and input the same within your stock, both when you buy them locally or even when you import the goods. So the stock management will actually be helping our taxpayers have a module for them to see how their stock is moving, from when the stock came in, what they have sold within the month. So the stock management module will actually be helping our taxpayers for those big taxpayers who actually will be requiring the module, especially those who have downloaded the software. Next. So who should adapt eTIMS? You remember when I began this presentation, I talked about the clarification of everybody should come to eTIMS. So we expect all persons who are doing business in Kenya, for as long as you have a business income, kama wewe ni mama mboga, kama wewe ni bodaboda, kama wewe ni mtu wa matatu, kama wewe ni mtu wa duka, we expect you to come to eTIMS. Even the farmers, the ones who bring produce, we expect them to onboard eTIMS. Because going forward, the people they are supplying to, or the people they are doing services to, they will require these receipts to claim expenses going forward in their income tax. So without these invoices, they'll not be able to actually claim this expense in their income return. So it is paramount that we have everybody on board, including even professionals, to actually come on board eTIMS to ensure that our taxpayers, whenever they are they're filing their return, the expense they're actually the expense that should be allowed in their return whenever they're doing filing will be only allowable. You remember when Mushiri was talking about the income tax, the one that actually talked about as at 1st of January, any expense that is not supported by an eTIMS invoice will not be allowable going forward. I do not know if you saw the public notice that actually gave that the clarification. We even have another public notice that actually gave our small taxpayers time to come on board eTIMS. So we expect everybody, anybody who has a business income, whether you are a kiosk owner, whether you're a boda person, or even just the farmer who brings produce to your place. I expect a place like this hotel, there are people who supply you with their daily vegetables or fruits or anything, or even the meat that you actually use. So those people will be required to be issuing you with an invoice, because going forward you will not be allowed to claim those expenses in your income tax return if it is not an eTIMS invoice. So which solutions are actually available for eTIMS? So we have 4 types of solution. I talked about the simplified solution for our taxpayers who are actually small and middle traders. The small traders I expect to use our simplified solution. Our simplified solution is actually, you'll be able to access it using the eCitizen portal. If it was possible, we wanted to do a demo on how you can actually log into your eCitizen portal and generate an invoice from it. But there seemed to be a technical problem. But we will take you through the other solution and see how simple that person who actually supplies those produce is actually able to generate an invoice using this solution. Then, of course, we have the eClient solution. You can go to the next slide because it's the one that is talking about the different solution. So this is whereby I was talking about this one that you access through the eCitizen portal. So when you go to ecitizen.kra.go.ke, you'll be able to see this page. This page will pop up, and then you'll be able to activate invoicing. It's as simple as that. You log in using the different credentials that you get that when you are using eCitizen to do the other processes, then you'll be able to activate invoicing from your eCitizen account. So once you activate e-invoicing, you'll be able to actually generate an invoice from eCitizen. But the clarification is, for eCitizen account, for the eCitizen portal, this can only be used by our individual taxpayers. When I talk about individual taxpayers, I mean people who have APINs. Those who's, like you and me, you know your personal PIN, it starts with an A. That's an individual PIN. So for such a person, if I'm doing business using my PIN, then I can actually generate an invoice using the eCitizen portal. For people who are VAT registered, or they have more invoicing that they generate over time, eCitizen portal will not be viable for them, because this one is mostly for sole proprietors, these small traders who have 1 or 2 invoices in a month, people who do one-time supply. Maybe you got a tender with the county and you needed to supply. Within the year, you'll be removing 1 invoice. You can log into the web portal, the eCitizen, using your profile, generate an invoice, and issue the invoice to the county that is going to pay you for the service or even for the good that you actually delivered. Then, of course, we have the eTeam solutions. eTeam solutions can actually be, it's a downloadable software that our taxpayers can use. And these softwares can be used in any device. When I mean any device, I mean laptop, desktops, even your phone. You can actually download this software. Even the PDA, you know, before when you were implementing eTeams, we used to have ETR suppliers. These ETR suppliers also have PDAs. And most of the PDAs are actually Android. They're like a phone, but in an ETR form. So once you have this PDA, you can actually download the software, and from there, you can generate an invoice. If we had more time, we would have taken you through how to even generate an invoice using the software, but that one requires a one-on-one, because that one is a bit, I would say a bit complicated. You cannot do it in a big hall like this. You'll actually be lost when we would take you through a client. For the simplified solution, is one touch, one go. But for the software, it needs a one-on-one for you to even understand how to register your items, how to register your clients within the software, and how to generate an invoice from it. So that is the other solution that we have for our taxpayer. These ones, the eTeam solution can actually be used for people, who are doing both goods and services. So if you're supplying goods and services, meaning you are somebody who supplies computers, you supply computer, but you also maintain those computers, meaning you're offering the good and you're also offering services for those goods. So for such people, they will be required to use the eTeam client. But for people who are only supplying services, meaning they're only doing catering, they are doing transportation, then we require such people to use the online portal. Because the online portal is just a matter of logging into our eTeam's online portal. Once you log in, generate an invoice. All these solutions, before you can actually use them for eTeams, you'll have to go through an approval process. But for the eCitizen portal, because your details are already registered on eCitizen, meaning as you put your ID, as you put your year of birth, it validates with the registrar of persons. So once your details are populated, you'll be able to actually generate your invoices. And of course, we have our big kid on the block. Our big kid on the block is called system-to-system generation. When I'm talking about the system-to-system generation, we expect people who have billing systems to onboard to eTeams. I'm talking about people who have accounting systems that they use within the organization, meaning they already have an invoicing solution that they're already using within the organization. For such taxpayers, we require them to do a system-to-system integration, meaning that invoicing solution that you have as an organization, it should communicate with the KRA system and generate an invoice. So for this particular category of taxpayers, they will be required to do integration either by themselves, if they have the IT technology, as in IT expertise, for them to do self-integration, or they will require a third-party integrator. When I'm talking about a third-party integrator, these are people that have actually been approved by KRA to do integration for our taxpayers. They have gone through a testing process. They have passed our validations to be sure that even as they do the integration, the invoices that will be generated through that integrations they have done will actually be transmitted to KRA. So in case there's an organization that needs to do a system-to-system integration, we have published the list of the integrators in our KRA website. Once you go to our KRA website, under publications, you'll be able to see the list. Right now, the list has 5 people, but we are still testing other integrators. So in the future, the list will grow and you'll have more integrators on board. But as at now, we already have 5 that have already been approved. So that one is for our big taxpayers, our large taxpayers who actually have billing systems. So they will require to have the system-to-system integration. And from where I stand, I believe Pcea is a large taxpayer. Brenda, confirm. Pcea is a large taxpayer. Correct. So we expect you to do system-to-system integration, because I'm sure you have an invoicing solution. But if you do not have an invoicing solution, of course we have other solutions that you'll actually be required to onboard on. So how do you create account under the eTeams web page? Once you go to the eteams.kra.ke, you will be able to create account. So here is where you find how first you click sign up, because you're creating account. You've not even started registering, you're just creating account. You click on sign up. Once you click sign up, then you enter your PIN. The PIN for the company or the individual PIN that you're using. Once you verify this PIN, once you verify, your details will actually populate in that page. Once they populate, you'll be required, it will ask you to send an OTP. The OTP is sent to the registered number that is in your iTax profile. So meaning, your iTax profile should actually be able to have an updated phone number for somebody who will be able to receive the OTP, because the OTP is what you will use to create account. You'll be sent a one-time password. So that number, we've had so many people who have issues with the phone number that is registered on iTax. Some have landline for many organizations, but going forward, you'll actually be required to have a mobile number that is actually active and in use, because the OTP will be sent there. And even in the case of where you forget your password for logging into the system, when you reset the password, it will be sent to that phone number. So it is very important to have an active number during sign up. So once you sign up, you create a password, then you go to logging in. Once you log in, you go to a place called service request. As you put service request, and under service request, you'll be able to choose the type of solution that is beneficial to your organization or to you as an individual. Currently we have 4 solutions that are there. We have the eTeams client, we have the eTeams online solution, we have the OACU, and we also have the VACU. So for OACU and VACU, those are for people who are doing system-to-system integration. So they will choose one. For the OACU, which is the online control unit, those are people whose businesses are always online, meaning you're using the internet to generate invoices on a regular. Your billing system is online throughout. You see the way you put your data on your phone and you get your WhatsApp messages every time. So that software will require you to actually be online throughout for the people who are using the OACU. But for people who are using the VACU, which is a virtual sales control unit, these people will be required to just generate an invoice. Then at the end of the day, they are able to transmit, because it transmits after a particular batch. So it just depends on the configuration that you did whenever you were doing the integration. So from there, you're actually able to generate invoices from this system. So the two documents during service request that you'll need to upload is the director's ID and a commitment form. That director's ID should be of the director who is on iTax. We have had so many cases of people who are inputting directors that are not active on iTax, meaning somebody would come, change their directorship, but they have not updated their iTax profile. So your profile needs to be up to date, because eTeams fetches data from iTax. So everything that is on eTeams is actually pulled from iTax. You see, the same way eCitizen pulls your data from Register of Persons. So eTeams pulls data from iTax. So the details on your iTax profile should actually be up to date for you to be able to go through approval process. Because if you include a director that is not active on your iTax profile, then that director will actually not, process will actually not be able to, approve that process. So if you need more information concerning eTeams, we have these details on our KRA website. When you go to KRA website, just search for eTeams, then you'll be able to find this information. There is, under KRA website, when you click eTeams, you'll be able to learn about eTeams. We even have FAQs that are posted there for you to even be able to understand eTeams more. And my last slide was just information concerning the public notice that was giving our non-VAT registered taxpayer more time to onboard eTeams. So according to this public notice, what it is saying is that for our non-VAT, you've been given until 31st of March to onboard. So the invoices you generate between January up to 31st of March, before you onboard, you will be required to actually input them in the eTeams device once you've onboarded. So it is important for even our non-VAT taxpayers to know this, because after 31st of March, then our penalties will start applying. But because we do not want to apply those penalties, we are actually requesting our taxpayers to ensure they come on board between that period, so that going forward, we are all in the same page. Thank you very much. These are the details of our office. We are based in Nairobi. That's the project office. But you can still find us within the regions. In our TSOs, still people can help you with onboarding of eTeams. When you walk to any TSO, you'll be able to be helped. But these are the numbers of the project office that is based in Nairobi, JKUAT Towers, 8th floor. You can contact any of those numbers and you will be assisted. Thank you very much. That is the end of my presentation.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, KRA team, for that very loaded training, because this is what we always interact with. We will give this few minutes for us reaction, but the last statement that Madam has finished with, he has said that ensure that where you are, your interaction with the regional office, so that wherever the KRA offices are, please ensure you create a partnership, walk there, they are friendly, let them come help you on board the eTeams. Where you have a challenge, talk to them. Where you are not getting help, talk to us. We'll have someone to help you so that we can become full compliance. So I will rest now to ask the many or few questions that you have so that our teams can be able to answer. Can we take your questions, please? Take your questions. Yes, is one there. A pair mic. Any other person? Any other? Okay. I thought huwa mnatupigia masimu kama 1,000,000 with so many questions. This is a time to ask anyway. All right, that is 1, 2, 3. Yes, 4. Let's hear those. Note the questions. Go on. It is not, has no patia ingine ambayo iko na sauti.
My name is Joseph. I just wanted a clarification concerning the e-teams registration. My question goes to the last presenter there concerning the issue of salaries. Yeah? Now that you have said that if at all you have not onboarded expenses on e-teams platform, what will be happening on the issue of salaries when you are filing returns? Will it be rejected, or there is an option of allowing the expenses for salaries to be part of that which will be a deductible? The second question is on the issue of the small businesses. Let's say, for example, you buy groceries from markets there, and those people are not registered for the e-teams. They are not able to give you receipt. I mean, if you go to a market there, you will not ask a mama boga to give you a receipt there, or go online and produce a receipt. What will be happening to such expenses, the grocery expenses? So please kindly answer me.
Thank you. The next, yes.
Thank you. I just have two questions. One of them is, when does the church get to take advantage of the exemption certificate that we have? The other one is, maybe kindly expound on withholding tax, because I know the church usually hire people, professionals, to do some services to the church. So is the church supposed to withhold some tax on that?
Thank you. Mine is clarity on the tax amnesty in terms of what are the requirements. Maybe I only heard about the time frame given, but what are the requirements for one to be prepared for application for the tax amnesty? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Leonard. Mine is similar to what our brother was asking there, because sometimes you have people, some of the institutions that are attached to the church as schools, sometimes we are also required to do some of their books. And now you have people who are supplying for meat, you have the boda guy, you have people who in transport, matatus and all that. These are people who have no idea of anything like e-teams. And these are the people who actually will supply maybe 80% of the expenses you are incurring in the learning. These institutions are coming from these people in the informal sector. I just wanted to know, how is this going to go? Because you literally have people who are maybe refusing to do that. I mean, I don't know whether they even have that idea to do that. And of course, the resistance, and they're the same people that you need for success of the operations. How is that going? Have you factored in that, and how is that going to be taken care of?
Yes, Madenge.
My name is Francis Madenge. Mine is on the rental income. Is it the tax on gross, or are there expenses that we are supposed to deduct on that? And I think it's 7%, it's 7.5%. Is it on the gross rental income received? Or are there some deductions that we are supposed to factor before we pay out? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes. Yes.
Mine is on the TOT. We've been told that it's taxed at 3% on the turnover, sorry. But then the KRA is still insisting that we keep the purchase invoice. For what purpose, or what is the rationale behind keeping those purchase invoice? And already we are taxing on the gross.
Yes. All right. Yes. We will have two more, one and him. We stop there because of time. The rest we shall deal with. And of course, minor, US kufungulia. Yes.
Yeah, my question is on TOT. I heard you say that the threshold...
Use the mic.
Yeah, the threshold for TOT obligation is 1 million to 25 million. Is it monthly or annually? If so, does it mean that those people who make less than 1 million are not supposed to pay any tax?
I hope you're noting. All right. Yes. Then Mchungaji Maina as the last one.
Yes. My name is Stephen from Kihumbwini. My question goes to E-teams. Where a business have got a lot of transactions, my question is whether it is possible to invoice them as a total per day, or you can invoice them one after the other.
Okay, thank you. Maybe my question to Bwana Richard. He was addressing the issue of tax exemptions, and maybe he told us about the issue of tax exemptions on traveling allowance. So maybe you can shed light, because there is monthly traveling allowance and the normal ones. So which one is exempted from tax at the end of the day?
Okay, Maina.
Mine goes to, was it Washira? Washira. Well, you are presenting the issue on the finance bill. I thought you could have touched on the issue of housing levy, because at the moment as a church, we don't know the clear guideline touching on the issue of the housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Washira. As you come, yes.
Thank you very much. My question goes, how much is an ETL machine, and how do you acquire it?
Okay, I thought E-Teams was replacing that, but they will answer that. The final one that I want to ask myself is the overall objective of the Kenya Revenue Authority. When these taxes are increasing by the day in terms of the expanded tax base of what you are doing now, what is this that you KRA should see impacting on the economy in terms of many people now withdrawing, with the raising cost of living, withdrawing from KRA and doing all manner of things to evade because of the huge tax that have come? The future focus on KRA, don't you say that at the end of 2-3 years, you might receive less than otherwise you are receiving by the fact that business have collapsed because of the high. The expatriates are going away. I saw 37.5. They're going away because of an unfavorable tax regime. What is the clear objective of the KRA in terms of ensuring that there is a balance between the small sector, the micro sector, the bigger taxpayers, so that you have a balance? What is this overall objective that you are concerned about? Welcome, Bwana Wachira.
Good afternoon again. Before Mr. Moshiri comes to answer and E-Team's answers, I'll take on 3 questions here. There's a gentleman who asked the advantage of the exemption certificate. So an exemption certificate, it's an income tax exemption certificate. It does not exempt you from any other taxes other than income tax. You have to apply to the authority, and the authority has to grant you that. So it is not on an individual level. It is basically on the PIN of Pcea. When you get that exemption, it only exempts you from income tax. But all other tax heads you're supposed to remit, which related to a question where he asked, you get professionals, should you be deducting withholding tax? Yes. Income tax exemption only exempts you from income tax, the tax head, ILEA, at the end of the financial year. Withholding tax, if you have a professional, if you have a consultant, you deduct them your 5%. Kama anajenga ni contractor, you deduct them your 3%. And now with the new finance bill, you're supposed to be remitting that withholding tax within 5 working days from the payment of the withholding. So 5 working days, you're not exempt from withholding tax as a church. You're supposed to withhold tax on any consultants, on any professionals, on any management fees, on any contractors. The next question I will tackle is on the tax amnesty requirements. So tax amnesty, the requirements are not per se requirements. The only thing we are saying is, we are giving you is dates. So we are saying if you have any liability up until 31st December 2022, if you have cleared the principal tax, you have interest and penalties. If you have cleared the principal tax, then you're eligible for the tax amnesty, and that one is automatic. If you have not finished paying your principal tax, you still have liabilities on your principal tax, then you come to KRA, you get a payment plan up until 30th June 2024. Up until 30th June 2024 for clearing the principal tax, so that you'll be eligible for the tax amnesty. So if you have any principal tax, my advice would be to run to KRA now so that you get a payment plan that gives you a timeline up until 30th June, Jusi Bali. And after that now, and that ends only on any principal tax, interest and penalties or any liabilities up until 31st December 2022. Kutoka hapo, if you file na kuko na late filing, interest na penalty inaingia automatic. All right? So hatuna mambo ya waiver. Sahi tuko na interest and penalties inaingia. So what I will emphasize on is we all be aware of the due dates. Our statutory due dates. For pay as you earn is the 9th. So if you're preparing your payroll, make sure by the 30th ume prepare payroll. 1st to 9th ume file na umelipa. In case you have any queries that you need to address to Maina in head office, you have a timeline. But you cannot file on the 9th, inakataa kwenda, then you ask Maina, I-tax, all right? So try and organize yourself that you do your payroll by the end of the month. Then between the 1st to the 9th, you're dealing with the filing, or even earlier, you're dealing with the filing and the payments, okay? So that if you have any queries and you're escalating them to head office, they're able even to escalate to us in good time. Because by the 9th, kila mtu anakuanga kwa system. So hata sisi saa zingine, the system might not be working. So if you're able to do them quite early, in good time, if there's any issues that you're able to escalate to head office, then they're able to escalate to us. We're able to sort them within that that time frame. So kama ni pay as you earn, by the 9th, ensure you have already finished. So I'm saying earlier so that if you have any challenges in between, they're able to be sorted by then. Withholding tax is 5 working days after payment. So that is with the new Finance Act. Withholding tax is, finance bill, withholding tax is 5 working days, and you're not exempt from that. I may touch on housing. I know everyone is seeing what is going on with housing in the television, and you're waiting for KRA to tell you yes to pay or not to deduct. So it is still in the courts. We do not have any official communication that we've sent out to the public, but it does not stop you from filing your pay-as-you-earn return. So you can still file your pay-as-you-earn return without the housing. For now, it is in the court, so we'll not comment so much about it, but it does not stop you from filing your pay return. Thank you.
Maybe before you give Wachira, kitu moja tu nataka kukuomba. We filed the tax exemption. We know for agency tax, hiyo ni lazima tutalipa. Lakini for income we filed, kila kitu iko kwenu. There's only one sentence that timekuwa back and forth, dissolution clause. But remember the church was registered many years ago, and the dissolution clause came the other day. So retrospective, again, the law does not. Kindly, can you look at that gracefully so that then we are able to get that exemption? Thank you.
We will pass that on to the policy unit. Our policy unit is the one that approves the exemption.
Yes.
So we will follow that up with the policy to get mahali wamefika.
Please,
Okay.
please.
Yeah, thank you, Beth. I think you have answered all, if not everything. Yeah. Somebody had asked about the rental income. Rental income is on gross turnover, which will be deducted at 7.5% effective date, 1st January 2024. There is another one on TOT regarding on purchases. Turnover again is on sales, the total sales. The 1 million threshold is for the annual. So you just divide the 1M by 12, you see whether you qualify for TOT. It's just the same concept as pay as you earn, whereby those earning below 24,000 shillings per month, they are not deducted, they are not eligible for pay as you earn. So you can see we have the threshold whereby you can be consulting us from time to time to guide you. There is also the question on policy about the government and the increase of taxes. I think we as KRA, we are just enforcers. This has been a public participation whereby all the bills are taken through an act of parliament. And for us in the tax base expansion, we are just trying to come to you people so that we can increase as many taxpayers as possible. It's not that only the Pcea or the big taxpayers like TSC, the Safaricom, will be paying taxes. Suppose we pay taxes, all of us, definitely this type of taxation will come down at one point or the other. But at the moment, we have to bear with the Act of Parliament, whereby you have chosen our leaders to represent us and come up with these changes, of which we are optimistic that they might change from time to time as we continue increasing our tax base. On e-teams, I'll give our presenter to tackle on why everybody should have that invoice.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the questions. The questions are actually very valid because you're the people who represent some of our taxpayers out there, meaning you deal with our taxpayers on one-on-one. So I'm going to take the first question concerning expenses for salaries and wages. There is going to be a Gazette notice that is going to give guidelines on transactions that are exempt from e-TIMS. Salary is one of the transactions that are exempt from e-TIMS. So meaning as you pay salaries, you do not need to have an e-TIMS invoice for salary. So some of the transactions, I want to read for you some of the transactions that have been listed in the Tax Procedure Act, Section 23A, that actually provides for electronic tax invoice transactions that are actually exempt from issuing e-TIMS invoices. So one of them is emolument received or payable subject to payee under the Income Tax Act. So there is where salaries and wages fall. So emoluments are actually exempt from e-TIMS. Then we have importation of goods under the East African Community Customs Management Act, 2004. So for people who are importing, we do not expect your import invoice to be in e-TIMS because you'll be importing from a different jurisdiction. So that one is also exempt from e-TIMS. The only issue will be you will need to actually declare an import entry because you've imported those goods. So for that import, an importation entry number will be required whenever you're doing your filing for that month. Then of course there is importation of services from a foreign country. That one is also exempt from e-TIMS. And also interest income for financial institution as defined in the Income Tax Act, Cap 2, Cap 470. So for financial transactions, meaning transactions that have been listed under the Income Tax Act, interest income are also exempt from e-TIMS. Then of course there's the investment allowance that is provided under the second schedule of the Income Tax Act, and air passenger ticketing. So ukibook ndege, we do not require you to have an e-TIMS invoice. So those are the transactions that are actually exempt from e-TIMS. So we do not require those transactions to have an e-TIMS invoice. So even as they do their filing for those transactions, those ones will be exempt. But in the same provision, it's talk about other exemption can be granted by the commissioner in accordance with the law. So if you think the type of transactions that you're doing should be exempt from e-TIMS, then you need to write to the commissioner for the commissioner to give a ruling whether that transaction is exempt according to law. So for the person who asked about salaries and wages, that is very important to take note. Then of course, concerning, I want to answer this other question before I go to Mama Mbogas and Boda Bodas. I want to answer the question of people who are below the TOT threshold, meaning you're doing something less than 200. These are still Mama Mboga people. These people will be trading using probability, their individual pins. So at the end of the year, they're supposed to declare a business income in their return for the year. So there is where they declare their taxes because they are not in TOT, they are not in VAT, they are below the threshold. So they have income tax, individual. So for such people, they'll be declaring their business income whenever they'll be doing their yearly return for the income tax that they are doing. Most people do nil for employment income, but they normally forget this. Once you've been doing business, you also need to input your business income for the year. So there is where they're going to do their returns, and there is where they're going to declare the invoices they have purchased or the sales they've done within that year of they are filing for. Then of course, the big question in the room, meaning your 80% suppliers who are supposed to supply you with goods for them to be issuing you invoice, and to give you a live scenario of how you're going, because you're the people who are going to enforce this from them to ensure that they actually issue you an invoice. So for me to make it very simpler for you to take the gospel to them, because we might not reach everybody as KRA, though we are doing publicity for the same to ensure we put everybody is collected within the bracket. There is publicity that is going around that we are doing for our taxpayer. This is one, because we are doing a stakeholder engagement right now. We are informing you so that even as you go out there, you can also send the message to the people who supply you. So for our boda guys, our mamamboga guys, we have something called the USSD, where they can actually generate invoices from. So I want to do a practical example using your phone where you are. Kindly, if you allow me, I just need 2 minutes of your time. So if you can remove your phone, we are going to the test environment so that you'll be able to see how these people are going to generate invoice. So I want you to dial *617 *35#. Are we there? 6*617 *35#. We are there? No. Uko na credit kwa simu? Juu inatumia credit. You see the way you query your bank balances through the USSD. It charges like 10 bob, ama ni 5 bob. So you need to have like 5 bob on it, though we are in the test environment. Anybody who has gone through *617 *35#. Imekuletea hapo Hustler Fund. We are in the e-citizen portal. Then you choose tax payment. Option 5, is it option 5? Once you choose option 5, it's going to tell you there are 3 options. It's saying the first one is payment, the second one sales invoice, and the third one credit note. So I want you to choose option 2, sales invoice. Under option 2, you need to put your ID. Your ID as it is. Don't worry. We are in the test environment, so don't worry. Musiogope. So tuko kwa test environment, so musiogope. The actual USSD that is going to be used is different from this one. This one we are just using to demo how the USSD is going to be used. But the actual one is the e-citizen one that is actually 222. You see the way government services are being paid through e-citizen on 222. That is the USSD that is going to be used. So whatever we are using is the test environment. So don't worry, just put your ID. Credit Anna. Sorry. Where are we? So year of birth, unaweka ile mwaka ulizaliwa. Kama mimi unajua ni mtu wa 1783. So you put yours. The year you were born, just 1984, 1920. Unless you've put the wrong thing. Are you sure? After you've put the year of birth, inakwambia nini? Confirm. Click confirm. You know, this thing needs only 90 seconds for you to do it. Because after 90 seconds, it ends off. That's the same way you query your balances. It's the same thing. So after you confirm, inakwambia nini? Eh? Sorry? Register. Tuko test environment, madam. Don't worry. Just register. Have you registered? Inakwambia nini? So meaning you've already registered on eTIMS. As simple as that. Now we want to generate an invoice using the same process. So let's go back. You've received a message from eCitizen? You've received a message? Correct. Now let's go back to *617 35 hash. Now we are generating an invoice. We have finished registration. Now it's generation of invoice. 17 star 35 hash. Inakwambia nini? Choose KRA payment. Once you choose payment, you go to sales invoice. After sales invoice, inakwambia nini next? Customer name or PIN. Write Linda, my name. Unaniuzia mimi. Write Linda. Mekwambia nini next? Product. Linda anapenda fish. Put fish. Quantity. Next inakwambia quantity. Put 2. Amount inakwambia amount. Price 100 bob for each. Next, confirm. After you confirm, inakwambia nini? We have finished generating an invoice. As simple as that. When you click on that link, you'll be the link that has been sent through SMS, you'll be able to see the invoice. And you see in that SMS, it's even giving you the invoice number. So that is as simple as how we expect our boda boda people, our mama mboga people to actually generate invoice using eTIMS. Thank you.
Mumeingia box. Sawa. Thank you so much. We really appreciate. Let's appreciate Linda. Is it Linda? Yes. Let's appreciate her for that. Then, before they move, I'll give Maina Kenywa to do 1 or 2 questions, and then I invite Reverend Bai to come and say something as they leave. Maina Kenywa. He is the one who has been handling our exemption.
Hoping I have not started talking and making an assumption that I'm a Presbyterian. So this question I'm not asking as a tax consultant, but rather as a strong and a proud Presbyterian. Sir, the Secretary General of the Church, I'm asking this question also on your behalf as one of your elders. Now, so I would want to ask Beth on behalf of the person processing the exemptions, why is it easy for other religious institutions such as Catholic, ACK, to get their exemptions within the timelines and make an assumption that the Pcea should change its law, yet Pcea existed before the 1900. The law just changed in 2015. On behalf of your colleague, because tomorrow we'll find you at the exemptions department, what exactly would the Secretary General, who is with us here, need to do to confirm to you that Pcea is a Bible-believing church, well documented, and where you are getting a lot of taxes from? That is one. Maybe that is for Beth. And I'm asking this with, she's also a very good leadership officer, so let's appreciate her. She has been very good to us. So I'm not asking this with any bad intention, but all that is important. Number 2, and I think this one I'll ask the person who did the presentation. At times when you want to get compliances, we apply for them. And we have such a big number of workers we collect a lot of pay as you earn to a tune of 20+ million per month. So whenever there is any error for that matter, we always send details to your offices to reconcile. So when we come the first year, we give you the reconciliations. Come the second year, you issue the compliance, but you have not reconciled your ledger. So next year, you ask the same information. For 7 years, you ask the same information subsequently. What is the Kenya Revenue position in terms of reconciliations? Because you would imagine there is a minister who went to apply for a loan in a SACCO. The payee was paid, but probably there was a small error. Now that minister or a staff has gone to apply for a loan in a SACCO, but she is being told, give us a tax compliance. But it's pegged on the return that we did. So the intention is not bad not to reconcile, but the intended consequence is punishment for all these staff who are listening to you. So what is the Kenya Revenue agenda in terms of reconciling their data once provided with the information? Number 3, and I think that also goes to you, in terms of rental income, as you can see, we have more than 500 parishes, some of them with small rental income here and there. If they declared MLI, they would pay at 7.5%, right? Okay? They will pay at 7.5%. But MLI has a threshold. This is 1 pin, but it has some sub-pins all throughout the country. So if I was to add up the total, the same way you are accumulating the pay as you earn, it would mean that I do not need to pay you 7.5%. I'll add the total and declare it as a total rental income because I'm above the threshold. And that gives me an opportunity to enjoy the capital deduction at 10%. And that allows me also to be able to enjoy the interest expense because most of those buildings are done with loans, including where you are seated today. Then what is your view regarding the accumulations of the total rental income, declaring it as one rental income, and declaring at the end of the year, offsetting the IBD, the capital deduction, as well as an interest expense? Those are my 3 questions.
Thank you. Wow. Si tuko hapo? Haya. Let them, it's a hard one, let them negotiate kidogo. As we invite Anthony for a health break kidogo. Yeah. Watu wamekaa chini sana. As they agree, then we move from. Good.
Aya, tusimame basi tuone kama tunajua Biblia. Amen. Sisi tunafundisha Biblia. Amen. Haya, sasa Biblia iko na New Testament na iko na Old Testament, isn't it? Haya, kwa hivyo nikisema tutaanza na New Testament. Na hii mchezo inaitwa Bible. Okay? Ni kama ile nyama. Kwa hivyo tukisema Bible, tunaruka sisi wote. Sawa sawa? Bible. Na uruke vizuri, acha kufanya hivi. Acha kubounce. Uonekane kama unaruka, ndio kama neighbor yako. Na uangalie neighbor akianguka, unamleta hapa. Sawa sawa? Na tutaanza na New Testament. Kwa hivyo nikisema kitabu yoyote ya New Testament, nikisema ya Old Testament, unasema tu Bible ukiwa chini. Acha tufanye for example. Bible. We ruka. Bible. Revelation. Genesis. Unaona sasa, hamuruki mpya, hamuruki mzee, mtakuja hapa mbele nyinyi wote. Haya, lakini sasa tumepata hiyo, si ndio? Haya, kwa hivyo twende. Bible. Jude. Angalia. Haukuruka. Hiyo yote ni New Testament. Haya, wacha tuangalie SG sasa. Tukirukaruka Bible. Acha niachane na mdozi tusirudi ofisi alafu ikuwe mambo ingine. Haya, acha tufanye ya mwisho Bible. Revelation. Exodus. Haya, asante. God bless you.
Wow, thank you Anthony. Watu wanaruka mpaka Jews. Ni kitabu gani inaitwa Jews? Welcome my sister to answer.
Maina has put me on the spot here for somebody else's department. In terms of exemption, I cannot say we are being biased. Different churches have gotten and other churches have not gotten. And I really don't want to comment on it as I am not seated with that file on exemption. So what I will advise is we can organize a meeting with the policy office. Yeah, we can have a round table, then they explain to us what is it. And I hear where you're coming from and your point, but I wouldn't want to comment on the file that is on another department, which is the policy. So my advice is we organize a meeting, have a round table, and we have a way forward with the policy. Secretary General, this one I would urge, if you would just take time from your schedule and pay us a visit on that. So that even as you get into it, because we're talking about historical issues, they're able to understand where you're coming from, and now we would know where are we stuck on the exemption, all right? So that one I would request you kindly, just take time, you organize with your tax auditor, then you can come to our offices, we organize with the policy unit, then we can fast track on whatever the outcome will be on the exemption. Okay? Pay as you earn reconciliations. They have been issues from time immemorial. But what the system they have been doing is they have been doing it systematically, because so many people, so many taxpayers have issues on reconciliation. So at first what we had started is we had taken, like, let's say the year 2016 or 2015 or 2014, people who have payment reconciliations from then, we clear them. That is what we were doing with the systems people